Most people think they are managing time. They are not. They are being consumed by it. Notifications, urgency, dopamine loops, digital pressure. The modern world does not destroy focus instantly. It fragments attention, piece by piece, and eventually, human consciousness itself becomes reactive. People stop building meaningful lives. They only respond to the next signal. This is where cognitive collapse begins. Modern life moves faster than human attention was designed to handle. People wake up, already reacting. Notifications arrive before conscious thought. Urgency, endless reaction, constant stimulation, competing for cognitive territory. And slowly, the nervous system forgets how to slow down. This is the hidden architecture of the modern world, a system designed to accelerate attention faster than human consciousness can stabilize. People consume constantly, but rarely reflect. They stay busy, but feel strangely disconnected. Because acceleration without clarity creates invisible exhaustion, the body rests, but the mind never fully exits reaction mode. And eventually, people confuse movement with progress. This is why modern life often feels simultaneously overwhelming and emotionally empty. Not because people are weak, but because their attention is being fragmented continuously. One interruption, one distraction, one dopamine spike at a time. And over the years, life itself begins feeling shallow. This is where the Chronos paradox truly begins. The human mind was never designed to exist inside continuous interruption, but modern life trains distraction as a default state. People switch constantly between tabs, conversations, notifications, and identities. And eventually, attention loses its depth. This is the hidden cost of endless stimulation. The mind consumes more information than ever before, but experiences less depth. People scroll endlessly, but struggle to remember what truly mattered. They react constantly, but rarely think deeply enough to form coherent direction. And slowly, life begins feeling increasingly fragmented. Moments lose depth, conversations lose presence, work loses meaning, even rest stops feeling restorative. Because the nervous system never fully settles, it remains partially activated, waiting constantly for the next interruption. This is why many people feel mentally exhausted without understanding why. Not because they are thinking too deeply, but because their attention is being pulled in too many directions at the same time. And eventually, a fragmented mind creates a fragmented life. Most people believe they are overwhelmed because life became too heavy. But often, the deeper problem is that they are living inside systems they never consciously designed. Schedules, algorithms, deadlines, endless visibility, tiny structures quietly shaping behavior every single day. And eventually, people begin confusing constant motion with meaningful progress. More output, more urgency, more stimulation, more reaction, but very little clarity, very little stillness, very little space to actually experience life without interruption. This is the hidden prison of acceleration, because the modern world rewards optimization constantly without asking what kind of life the optimization is creating. And maybe this is why so many people now feel emotionally disconnected from their own existence. They are constantly moving, but rarely arriving, constantly consuming, but rarely feeling fulfilled, constantly connected, but rarely feeling understood. And slowly, the nervous system begins adapting to permanent acceleration until stillness itself starts feeling unfamiliar. And this is where the architect begins rebuilding coherence. Most people now experience life through partial attention, a conversation where part of the mind remains somewhere else, a quiet evening experienced only halfway, a walk where the body keeps moving but attention never fully arrives. And eventually, people stop fully inhabiting their own moments Because attention is what transforms time into lived reality. Without attention, time still passes. But life is barely absorbed. A distracted mind experiences less depth, less memory, less meaning, less connection. Not because life became empty, but because attention became divided continuously. This is why presence matters, not as passive stillness, but as intelligent participation inside reality itself. One ordinary hour experienced completely. One conversation where attention is not divided. One work session deep enough for the mind to fully arrive again. These moments seem small, but they restore coherence, and coherence quietly changes everything. This is where presence becomes a form of intelligence. The modern world does not only reward speed, it trains people to fear slowness. Faster responses, faster consumption, faster visibility, but depth has its own rhythm. A meaningful relationship cannot be rushed. A stable mind cannot develop inside constant interruption, and real clarity rarely emerges inside permanent urgency. This is why so many people now feel internally scattered. Their attention moves constantly, but their awareness rarely settles long enough to deepen, and eventually people begin consuming experiences faster than they can emotionally absorb them. Books become highlights, conversations become reactions, rest becomes stimulation, and life itself begins feeling increasingly thin, but depth returns slowly. One uninterrupted moment at a time, one fully present conversation, one quiet hour without stimulation, one thought followed long enough to reach coherence. Because in the end, a meaningful life is not built through constant acceleration, but through enough stillness for depth to finally return. Eventually, every nervous system reaches a threshold, a point where constant acceleration stops feeling meaningful. Not because achievement is wrong, not because ambition is dangerous, but because human beings were never designed to exist inside endless psychological fragmentation. And eventually, the body begins signaling it. Mental exhaustion, emotional numbness, shallow attention, restlessness during silence, because coherence cannot survive inside permanent interruption. This is why the recovery process often begins quietly. One protected hour, one uninterrupted thought, one evening without endless stimulation, and slowly the nervous system remembers what depth once felt like. Not constant urgency, not permanent reaction, not endless consumption, but calm attention, meaningful focus, intentional living. Because real coherence is not built dramatically, it is rebuilt quietly through repeated moments of conscious attention. And once coherence begins returning, a deeper question appears. If your attention finally belongs to you again, what kind of life will you actually build with it? This is where the next architecture begins.